I'm hearing sneaky behaviour. I'm also seeing a rabbit hole. So it's almost like somebody has... It's like they might have made up something in their mind, like a scenario. They think they know what's going on, but in fact, they don't. There's something about spiralling. Maybe someone's recently been experiencing this, okay? I think the way someone's been brought up has really influenced their kind of outlook. I'm hearing success, love, express your love. I think somebody really wants to speak their truth, but they're not sure how to do it in a way that's kind of acceptable, if you will. Maybe they're concerned about other people in the mix, okay? Make the effort. Somebody wants to make the effort towards something here. Something that they feel strongly about, okay? Let's see what this is, okay? 9 of Pentacles, 7 of Cups. I've immediately heard something about being single, having many options, but only wanting one. Ace of Cups. Well, at least something that's really feeding into their heart space right now. 7 of Wands. They've had to overcome a lot. I've heard heartbreak, internal battles is what I'm hearing, to really disconnect from all these different kind of external energies. Could have been pulled on kind of temptations, just their energy. Queen of Pentacles. I've heard somebody's battling through to get to this Queen is what I'm hearing. It's kind of like they're reaching a point when they get to her, they're absolutely exhausted. High Priestess. 7 of Swords. That's that sneaky behaviour. And with the High Priestess, this is something really happening behind the scenes right now. Something very sneaky. The number 7 is really significant here, okay? Let's just find out. So this is an energy who has really cut out a lot of kind of external influences in their life. They're ready for their new chapter. Is what I'm hearing. It's like they're preparing physically for their new chapter, and we've literally just had death and the fall. That isn't confirmation, the end and then the beginning. That's that 3 of that's the heartbreak that was coming through before, the hurt and the pain internally beneath it all. That's what's being cleared through. There could have been some kind of feminine energy here who has experienced this hurt from the past. 6 of Cups, who has experienced this betrayal, this sneaky behaviour. And it was hurtful. The Lovers at the bottom of the deck. Something that she thought had promise, if you will. Something that could be fulfillment, you know. Something that she wanted to make the effort towards. But somebody else feels like they just weren't... Something about they were being dishonest. Okay? So... dishonest about who and what was in their life, but dishonest also with the people in their life, okay? 4 of Wands, there could very well have been in a connection, okay? And now we have the King of Cups, okay? 9 of Wands, this is somebody who's where I just keep hearing fighting a lot of internal battles, okay? Okay, Ace of Pentacles and the Moon. There's something really clearing through right now. There's definitely a pause, and it's been a pause for a while. I've also just heard telephone call. So whether this is on someone's mind or recently you've had a telephone call, or something that just feels like it's really filtering in some kind of information. I'm feeling really hot as I'm doing this reading. Okay, I think someone's really... They're kind of going over their behaviours is what I'm getting here. Something not just to do with... It's kind of like every situation they've been in, whether it's all the way from their home, their upbringing did come up before, all the way through to this point with any connections, how they have deceived their own behaviours, continue to deceive others. I don't know what this is. Sneaky behaviour. It's coming through like maybe they're just somebody who lies, who lies, but it's because they're actually just deceiving themselves. So love yourself first, forgiving and learning. So there's definitely going to be something here about truth being revealed, about how somebody has been acting. They've had a front on. They've been clearing through a lot of kind of emotional burdens. Some that weren't their own to carry, I will say. Just as I've said that, for yourself. It feels like someone's making up some kind of story in their own head that's hurting their own heart more than even knowing the actual truth of the matter. So it's kind of like they must be behind the scenes or something right now. Worth waiting for, divine timing, and that did land on the Hanged Man. So it's definitely been this has been a while. Whatever's going on here. Oof, that's interesting. Release your ex. That's what's been going on here, and then reconciliation. Only this can take place if this is a divine connection once this karmic energy is released. Not just karmic energy, just energies of the past that are constantly pulling somebody down into this energy of kind of internal conflict, temptations. They know what, I'm hearing they know what's good for them. So the fact that they're allowing themselves to be pulled on suggests there's something really wounded within them that they haven't really healed yet. They're not ready to accept this divine version of self fully, which means there's still some kind of wounding that is kind of like they haven't forgiven themselves, right? Whether it's their own behaviors or somebody else's that they felt. But I feel like if they felt this, I'm not even sure if the other energy is aware of how deeply they felt this new love cycle with this reconciliation, okay? I will also say this, there is a feminine energy here who has really been sitting in her worth freeing herself of kind of this past betrayal that she's really deeply felt. It's like somebody was hung up on their ex or past energies, and this divine feminine energy that I'm feeling really felt that, the hurt of it, right? But I did accidentally say work there as well, so I do think that she's focused on her abundance path, which is good because it's kind of allowing her to recognize her purpose here as well, right? I'm not just talking about making money. I'm talking about really understanding her worthiness in terms of kind of who and what she is and what she is capable of and her fulfillment, what she desires, right? Work through your fears. Very important. Scorpio energy there. So that's like the recent moon as well. But depending on which astrology you follow, we have a full moon coming up as well. So in a few weeks' time, okay? Don't let the past hold you back. See, again, that forgiving and learning. I think somebody was acting in a really wounded child. And that's when you forgive, when you look at somebody in that way and you see that wounded in a child really dictating their behaviours and their choices, you're better able to forgive them, right? It doesn't mean you accept that they treated you or mistreated you in any way, okay? A personal issue reaches resolution. I think this is somebody going through their internal battles here, so they can really step into kind of this more emotionally mature, not guarded and self kind of, feeling sorry for self. It's not like that. It's like, okay, let me really take accountability here. Take time to breathe out. The end of a tough cycle approaches. Do you know, sometimes you can really win-win outcome. You can really ask yourself sometimes when some people really, it's like it feels like they've taken advantage of kind of your presence, your influence in their life, and they've really not offered you anything to suggest, to give you the credit, if you will, right? Nothing is yet set in stone. I think someone's really finding it difficult to understand their emotions. It's the way I'm finding it difficult to speak this message out, okay? But the truth is, sometimes, you can ask yourself, why have I been overgiving? But there are times when you haven't been overgiving. Somebody genuinely is incapable of showing gratitude to those who are really offering so much to them. And that is when you do put up those boundaries. That is when you recognize and you call your power back to you. And you say, okay, that was coming from a place of love, and clearly they needed it at that time. It's always important to remember that no matter what, you gave from love, and they needed that love at that time. That's it. And you move on, okay? Your commitment is being tested. A fiery climax approaches. Yeah, I do feel like someone's, I think it's kind of like, well, how real are you going to be now, right? How are you allowing yourself to kind of create scenarios and not just understand by stepping back and looking at the bigger picture, right? Because I was seeing that rabbit hole for a reason. I feel like there's a lot beneath the surface, like so many dark tunnels that have not been spoken on. Truly, I think there's a lot going on in someone's head right now. Your inner guidance is real and trustworthy. So important. Again, recognizing that intuition, because sometimes there can be a real difference between your ego and your intuition. Your ego is all the desires and the fears, right? From when you were younger, from when you were super, super young, that have developed, right? In terms of how you interacted in those you've had attachments with, right? Connections. Versus your intuition, that deeper inner knowing, because you've healed through. Some people are like, you naturally have that more gifted ability with your intuition, but everybody has the power within them to reclaim that. That's your connection to your inner divine feminine energy, okay? That intuition, self-respect. Yeah, know what you're worth. Know that you're worthy of more than these kind of deceptive, receiving deceptive behaviors from others, but B, acting in any kind of deceptive behavior. You don't need to. Be true to you, your authenticity. Be gentle with yourself. So I think somebody's kind of feeling bad about the way they might have been quite deceptive as well here, because they didn't know. Again, it's that wounded inner child. They didn't know what was happening on the other side, or how they'd be received, or whatever. So for them, it made sense to wear a mask, if you will. Okay. I don't even know if it was wearing a mask. I think it was just hiding their emotions, you know. Although part of me does think something about being behind the scenes is prevalent here. Okay, so believe and trust. There's something bigger here that you need to believe and trust in. Okay, I think your children are watched over by angels. Okay, write about your thoughts and feelings. That's been coming up a lot. So again, innocence. So yes, there's sneaky behaviour, but there's something deeper happening beneath the surface, which is why you need to look at the bigger picture, step back, handle the emotions as they're coming up, the triggers. You know, what is this actually reminding you of? This release your ex energy. I think this could be past betrayals that you're holding on to, that you're filtering into what could be a beautiful reconciliation in that new love cycle. It's kind of like allowing the time and space for what needs to be released and cleared, including the energy. Sometimes it's not even the physical presence, it's just the energy and the emotions that still need to be cleared, right? That's still present, that energy is still present, right? And that's a really internal job. It's about really going inwards and recognizing how is my upbringing influenced my attachments, and how I'm loving, how I'm connecting, how I'm being true to me, how I'm even creating any kind of abundance in my life. Okay, I think there's something about wanting children here. Okay, and when you want children, when you truly intentionally are in that kind of space, you know, whether you've known this from a young age or not, you want the right parent, co-parent for your child, right? You want them to be a good example. And I think somebody's understanding this within themselves. They're wondering how they're going to be a good example to their children. I think that they're putting a lot of pressure on themselves with whatever's happened. It's kind of like they're finally realising the ways they've acted that just aren't in alignment with truly with the person they want to move towards, but also kind of what they want to create moving forward. It's like they've had this mindset that they were stuck in, and it's all because there was a lack of communication over something. The Sun as well, that's a really beautiful card. So they are getting clarity. It's like this mental clarity. Ace of Wands. So we've got Ace of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, and Ace of Wands, and Ace of Swords. All of these are new beginnings. There's absolute potential for new beginnings here, and to do things in a different way, do things in a more aligned, divinely aligned way, the right way. Okay, Temperance, patience, strength. Patience is required as somebody gathers their strength here, is what I'm seeing. Page of Swords. See, I think sneaky behaviour is also something to do with online behaviour. And then we have the King of Wands at the bottom of the deck as well. So that's, again, courage. Someone wants to really step into that claiming energy, you know, stepping up and being in that kind of king, divine, more of that divine masculine energy. I'm hearing like that lion strength, right? But it's taking them time to really clear through whatever's been happening in their mind. They've had a lot of deep wounds mentally, based off what they've been going through since they were a child. I'm hearing something about religious cults. Okay, I'm not saying like that's just what's coming through in the message. Okay, so if that resonates, then there's something about that, or just the way somebody was brought up in terms of how they were made to think about certain things. There's massively something coming through about somebody's childhood, something they went through. Now this is really specific, but it feels like they were put into a position at a very young age where they were it's almost like their energy was fed on in any way, shape or form, some kind of just really unhealthy ways that has really impacted them, their mental health. And it was kept kind of like hidden or secret for a very long time, and this is really becoming apparent to them. This is kind of played out in their past relationship as well, relationships, but especially a recent one. It's like, I don't know, there's just something about it that really triggered this in them. And this is kind of where they're finally clearing through their understanding. And this is why they're also encouraged here by Archangel Michael to really write about their thoughts and feelings, and really to express themselves, whether that's a journal, you know, in whichever way is suitable for them, but just really release this emotion and to be gentle with that inner child, which is what's healing right now, which is where that processing of emotions is happening, especially kind of this self-respect. Have self-respect so that you can really be there for your inner child right now is what's coming through. Because with this reconciliation card here as well, and this new love energy, there's something really promising ahead, but it's because you are now closing out that past version of you finally. It's kind of like it's taken a while because it hasn't been easy. Whatever this was, it was really kind of embedded. It's almost like someone was taught to believe that they have to play a certain role for others, especially in this kind of, whatever this situation was, retreat and separation. This is just confirming that this is kind of a connection that has been disconnected from for a while. This could be the way it is the one, you already know each other, okay, but it's because there's been all this internal, I think that maybe, you know, you two even meeting could have triggered this in them to finally see what they could truly have, what their heart truly desired this entire time. But they had a lot of forgiving to do from their childhood in order to really put the effort into this connection that they really wanted to. There's too many fears that were coming up in the way, okay? So whereas I feel like this is a divine feminine energy who feels like she was betrayed or hurt and left like hanging in that betrayal, this is because there's something so much deeper going on beneath the surface with that kind of masculine energy that's coming through, okay? But they've really been reflecting, they really have been going inwards and doing that work, which is so important, and it's taken a lot for them to do that, which is why they really want to show up in courage. But what they don't realize is, look how much courage they have for facing these shadows. Truly, that's a big deal, okay? I think that this is something that will be seen by this divine feminine energy, truly, the more that they allow themselves to step forward from their authenticity, okay? I do think there's something about the divine feminine just allowing that space and time for this divine masculine energy to go through that journey, to heal through, okay? Step out of your comfort zone. Adjustments are required. And I think that's what it is, you know, somebody really is learning how to step out of their comfort zone. But again, that kind of energy for the divine feminine, balance, spirituality and practicality. There's something about the divine feminine energy also stepping into her truth, courageously stepping into who she is here to be and who she wants to be, for her, first and foremost. Whatever is coming to its resolution now, that personal issue, right? However that is handled, i.e. the forgiveness that is required in this situation, will determine how this new cycle begins. Because with that death card, it's very prevalent that something is very much ending, disconnecting from this old cycle, which includes the people, the mindsets, the habits, the self version, the version of self, okay? Brand new beginning with that Fool energy, but it requires overcoming so much of the subconscious mind, even as this new beginning begins, okay? It's not just suddenly, that's it, all's like everything's gone. It's not how it is. You continue to overcome as you go into this new cycle. The new beginnings all around. There's passion, there's stability, there's love, there's clarity, clear communication, new ways of thinking, right? Detach from the situation. Don't overthink whatever this is. Don't overthink it, is what I'm hearing. So I'm not sure what that specifically is about. I think it's like, don't allow yourself to be so embedded and tied into something that doesn't serve you anymore, that just needs to be released, and you can learn what lessons you needed from that. Keep your eyes on your targeted intention, and sometimes, you know, the lesson simply is you need to experience that so you can come to this world and help those who need you from the whatever you have been through, that experience. You can have that empathy and compassion, eternal love, the bottom of the deck, okay? So definitely something that somebody wants to move towards, but also just really going over the ways that, like I say, they've misbehaved, is what I've heard. Interesting. Energy healing work. So yeah, working through that energy, clearing through it, understanding that you don't have to take that past energy with you. You can finally release it. It's time to clear through this energy, right? Even past versions of whatever your cycle was together, so you can create this new cycle, which is where, again, that forgiveness comes in, okay? Freeing yourselves of like the binds of whatever's causing you to act in wounded ways of the past. It's not simple, it's not easy, it comes in cycles, okay? It continues, but you're a new version of yourself every single time. You're a more evolved version of yourself every single time, okay? There are secrets of the past that are going to come to light. I will say that. So it's all about handling yourself, stability within yourself with the inner divine masculine, your inner divine feminine, trusting her intuition, okay? Stepping back when you need to, when things are getting too much, you need to really step back and look at things from a wider perspective. You know, when you feel yourself getting triggered, it's so important, so you stay in your alignment as much as possible, and you can align your frequencies together as well, okay? I'm feeling really heated, so there's definitely something coming forwards, and it's not going to come easy. There's going to be courage, okay? Let me know if this reading was for you. Sending so much love.